executive producer of Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. And hey, Clyde. And if you don't know about Ground Zero, it's been around since 1995, so about 21 years. He started in Salt Lake City and then brought it out to Portland, I believe back in the late 90s. And he was doing a Ground Zero Lounge a few years ago, and so it's recently been revived. But Ground Zero is where the paranormal collides with the parapolitical. And so at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Clyde Lewis.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much. I'd like to also acknowledge Bill Coons, who's here tonight documenting this program. And you'll be able to see this on YouTube later, once we get it recorded and put on YouTube. There were a lot of things I wanted to bring to the table tonight, because there's so many things we talked about on the air. But for those of you that don't know, we're about to take a trip to Roswell, New Mexico. And that's going to happen on Wednesday. Wednesday morning, we're going to Roswell. And when I was in Palm Springs, actually when we were at the Joshua Tree gathering for Contact in the Desert, they asked me at the last minute to present something because Jason Martell, who just happened to be scheduled, got in an accident, and he couldn't perform his workshop. So they asked me spur of the moment if I get up and I do a Ground Zero Lounge. And I said, well, it's going to be kind of difficult for me to do that because, you know, once again, I have to study a lot and think a lot about what I want to deliver and what I want to say. And I decided to talk about something that I have talked about on the radio, but I wanted to go into more detail about why I feel what I feel. And I just got back from seeing Independence Day Resurgence. So that, of course, is on my mind right now, and I'm trying to digest what I just saw and some of the predictive programming I think that's in that film. And then what adds to my theories that I presented at Joshua Tree, which I'm going to share with you tonight. I did a show there called The Invasion of '97. Now, in Independence Day Resurgence, they talk about the War of '96. For many of you that are familiar with the movie Independence Day, it came out in 1996. And it was interesting to know that that film keeps referring to the War of '96, when in fiction, in the world of Independence Day, the alien world of Independence Day, they had an invasion in 1996 where a bunch of huge saucers appeared over major cities. And then after a countdown, they started destroying everything on the planet, annihilating everything. In fact, a lot of what was seen in the first Independence Day kind of was like I guess you could call it a reverse causality, because we saw the same images on the day of September 11th, 2001. But while the images mirrored on September 11th, 2001, there was also something that happened in 1997. A year after we saw this Independence Day film. It was something that we didn't plan on, and that is the invasion of 1997. The invasion of 1997 includes the story of the Phoenix Lights, the story of a large triangular UFO that appeared over Phoenix in April of 1997. This was it was my third year on the air doing Ground Zero. I was still clean. I was still young. I didn't know what the hell I was doing with my show. I really didn't. I mean, Ground Zero wasn't always paranormal and parapolitical. It was me basically trying to rediscover some of the myths of my childhood, whether or not Paul McCartney is dead, playing records backwards here, Paul is dead, Paul is dead, Paul. I do that all the time on the air. People think I was crazy, but that's the whole point, right? You want to get people's attention by playing records backwards. You want to get people's attention by, you know, asking if jackalopes are real. You know, people would talk about that. Yeah, they're real. They would, or snipe hunting. Did we ever do snipe hunting when we were kids? Snipe, here's the guy who did snipe hunting. You were the guy with the bag banging the frying pan. That's what I did. Oh, you didn't do that? What'd you do?
I got the shoe on backwards with the little bell.
Is that what you did?
All my uncles up in the thing.
Oh, okay. Well, see, all of that, you know, that antelope, that jackalope stuff and that snipe stuff grew into Bigfoot interests, right? And I had a big interest in Bigfoot. I had a big interest in UFOs. I had a big interest in all that. But I lived in Utah. Okay? Bigfoot, people say, yeah, he's up in the Uinta Mountains. But, yeah. And then they say the new Area 51 is in the West Desert. I kind of believe that because I lived out there. I've been out there, and I was escorted by the police to get away from there. And then, of course, the Skinwalker Ranch is out there, okay? So I had a bunch of things I was chasing after when I lived in Utah, which were kind of cool. But all of the cool stuff, though, the real cool stuff, is right here in the Northwest. D.B. Cooper, Bigfoot, and the first UFO sightings were here. They were up in Maury Island. Kenneth Arnold saw UFOs over Mount Rainier and Mount Adams. By the way, we go up to Mount Adams every year. We're going to be announcing when that's going to happen so we can see the UFOs. They still appear there all the time. And so my interest in UFOs, my interest in this whole thing grew out of 1997. Not only was it the year of the UFOs in 1997, the big one in Phoenix. Now, not only was it that, it was the year of Hale-Bopp. Comet Hale-Bopp. How many remember when Comet Hale-Bopp was seen in the sky? People were saying that there was something following it. You remember that? Something was following the Hale-Bopp comet. That had my interest too, because I'll tell you what, I would stand outside at night, and I would look up to see if I could see the Hale-Bopp comet, and sure enough, right up there in the sky with my little eye, I spy with my little eye, I spy with my little eye, Comet Hale-Bopp. And it had a little companion following it. Now, if you don't think that didn't give me the willies, especially when back in the day Art Bell did shows about this, and he'd have people on the air, like Courtney Brown, and Ed Dames, and several of those others, Linda Moulton Howe, all on the air going, something's coming. Something's following the comet. It may be aliens, maybe something. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, bam, we wake up on an April morning, and we find out that the night before, a huge boomerang UFO appeared in the sky over Phoenix. The thing has got to be at least a mile long. And people were like going, whoa! And like, the news covered it, the mainstream. USA Today covered it. Everybody was covering it. And I'm thinking, this is my way to shine. I can now say that I know something about the UFOs and I can talk about them and everything. Well, the thing is, I was pretty limited with what I had back then. And I was able to get a little publicity out of it myself. But I didn't really think about the implications until like 3 or 4 days afterwards. And in fact, I was so convinced that this was an invasion that I scared another DJ I worked with named Evan Lake. His wife, who happened to work at the radio station, told me, what have you said on your show that's so weird? I go, what are you talking about? Well, my husband, Evan, has packed up all of his things and he wants to move into the mountains. He wants to go up the mountains and live. And I said, I don't know what I've said. You said something about an invasion. You said something about this. I said, well, yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? But we didn't see the aliens, we just saw their aircraft. And that aircraft went all the way from Phoenix to Nevada, it was seen in New Mexico, it was seen all over that area. 1997 was the 50th anniversary of the Roswell crash. 50th anniversary. See, I went to Roswell after this event, so this was what was being talked about the whole time. The invasion of Phoenix and the Phoenix Lights. Also the fact that we went to DEFCON 4 the night of that arrival. The GOES satellites picked up other aircraft flying along the Pacific coast up to the northwest in Alaska. There were also reports of a satellite that should have been turned on to observe that area, but it went out all of a sudden because a gamma ray burst somehow hit the magnetic field and caused it to bend a little bit. The president, Clinton at the time, hurt his knee. He said he was at a golf game and he hurt his knee, but we suspect that maybe he was rushed into a vehicle and he hurt himself early in the morning. There was also the story of a man who was named, his last name was Buttons, or Button. He actually stole a plane, a warplane, and I think it was an A-11 or an A-10. He stole an A-10, broke off from a formation, and they were loaded with bombs. And he said he was doing this because he was afraid the invasion was happening. He wanted to take out the Dulce base in New Mexico. So somehow that intelligence, that intel, that time was actually suppressed. One of the most over-reported, if not the most witnessed sighting in the history of UFOs happened in 1997, and still very few people know about this. You can look it up. Very few people know. Well, this is what I talked about at Joshua Tree. But I made an outrageous claim, and that outrageous claim was, and I haven't really made it on the air, but I said, I believe that in 2017, there's going to be an event that will take place that will give no doubt as to whether or not we're alone in the universe. Now that's a pretty bold claim. Because people are saying, well, you know, we haven't had any proof lately, nothing's going on. Well, here's how I'm figuring it. Independence Day came out in 1996. We had an event in 1997 on the 50th anniversary of Roswell. Now, Independence Day Resurgence is in theaters right now, coincidentally coming out on the day that England declared its independence from the EU, which I thought was interesting. So Independence Day comes out. It's a bad film. I didn't like it all that much, but still, it had a lot of predictive programming in it. And some of the things they talk about is displacement of the Earth's core, the magnetic field basically dissolving. A number of things they bring up, saying the aliens are responsible and they're doing this to kind of prepare us for an invasion, and they're noticing it, and then finally the big invasion happens. But how many times have we been talking about that on the air? How many times have they talked about how our magnetic field is going crazy? Now, no one knows why the magnetic field goes crazy. But if we get another gamma ray burst, and the magnetic field can't take it, we'll be gone. We're toast. So we got to have a strong magnetic field. But they've been tinkering with it with CERN and everything else. And so we're pretty vulnerable. Life is fragile. A lot of people are saying, well, somebody said on my show the other night, well, the reason why people are acting crazy is not because of some parasite, because the magnetic field is thinning out. And sure enough, if you look up on the internet and you read some of the space websites, they say, yeah, the magnetic field is acting kind of wonky, kind of weird. So that's number one. And I had no idea this was happening when I made my statement about the possible alien revelation in 2017. Well, Independence Day comes out now in 2016. 2017, I believe, is the 75th anniversary of Roswell, the 70th anniversary of Roswell. So that would be interesting if we had the same repeat performance in 2017, wouldn't it? And I'm just rolling the dice here, giving kind of a speculation, and I could be wrong. You don't want to give a date to anything because that'll guarantee it's not going to happen, right? If I say the world's going to end tomorrow, it's not going to end at all. If I say the world's going to end 2 weeks from now, it's not going to end at all. Why? Because I made the stupid statement, right? I'm making a stupid statement tonight. 2017, we're going to have an alien event. An alien event is going to happen in 2017. Now, I made this statement 3-4 weeks ago. Everybody thought I was nuts. Now, I don't know if I've made it on the air yet or not. Maybe I have. I don't remember. Sometimes things fly out of my mouth and I have to immediately go, sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Do I have to do a whole show about how I just screwed up? And, you know, I did one time. I basically said that 2012, on December 21st, 2012, they're going to fire CERN at 11. That was just a figure I threw out there. But the thing is, I got the information from a guy I trusted. He was this Native American guy that says, Clyde, they're going to fire it up on the day. They're taking the risk. And so I did a whole show saying, how dare they? This is when the world is supposed to end. December 21st, 2012, they're going to fire that sucker up. I was wrong. They didn't fire it up. I looked like a total ass clown. I was feeling really stupid. So I did a whole show saying how stupid I was. Because, you know, people say, he never admits when he's wrong. Oh yeah, I do. I do. In fact, prophecy isn't simple. Giving dates that you think something's going to happen isn't simple. But I just found out something that makes me think that I'm going to be right. Well, first of all, NASA announced 3 days ago that they have been tracking something in the sky that is above us. It's really close, and it's in our orbit. They say it's a new moon. Now, it's nothing like our moon out there that we have, because the moon out there that we have is about the size of the Earth's core, or the Earth's core is about the size of the moon. They're basically the same size. But the thing about this moon is it's out there, and this is what bothers me about it. NASA says it's been circling our Earth for 100 years. 100 years. And they finally got around to telling us, oh, by the way, there's a moon out there. Yeah, we knew about it for 100 years, but we didn't tell you. But now we're going to tell you. Why are they telling us now that there's a moon out there that's going around the Earth? Oh, there's probably more, they say. There's probably more that we haven't even found yet. They have elliptical orbits. They're so wide, you can't tell. I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute. So all those people that say the planet X is real, you're going to make fun of them? You're going to make fun of those guys at Caltech for saying they found planet 9? See, that's the rub, you know. They get rid of Pluto, which Liam, my stepson, tells me about the size of Russia. I didn't know that, but he told me that the other day. He said, did you know that Pluto's the size of Russia? I said, that's pretty big. He goes, yeah, why'd they take it away? Why'd they not make it a planet anymore? I said, because they want to make way for planet 9. He goes, oh, planet X? I go, yeah, planet X. I told him the story about how if they would have kept Pluto, the new planet they found would be planet 10. And the Roman numeral for 10 is X. Planet X. So, I was reading about this, and I thought to myself, NASA, for the longest time, has denied that there's a probe out in space that is called the Black Knight. How many people, a round of applause, have heard me talk about the Black Knight? Few? Yeah, few people. The Black Knight is this strange-looking probe. It's black, of course. You wouldn't call, a white satellite the Black Knight. Just wouldn't work. Brand is not right. Branding's horrible for that. But the Black Knight is circling, and some say it communicates. Philip K. Dick said it communicated with him. Uri Geller said it communicated with him. Michael Jackson said it communicated with him. And several other people said they communicated with this entity that's in space. And then there was a Pepsi commercial that was made for the internet just at the beginning of this year. And it was about the Black Knight sending a message to everyone that they're coming. Now, how's that for a little predictive programming? They're coming. And this Black Knight satellite, this thing has been circling the Earth for thousands of years. They're saying millennia this thing has been circling the Earth. Launched off a piece of asteroid. Okay, so why is it going around the Earth? Why isn't the space shuttles captured photos of it? And you can go online and look. It's called the Black Knight probe. And we have nothing to do with it. Russia has nothing to do with it. No one has anything to do with it. The thing just happens to look alien. It's kind of bizarre. And they don't know what it is. So finally they tell us that at least something out in space just doesn't belong. One of these things just doesn't belong here. One of these things just doesn't belong. Yeah, exactly. You know better than I do. You still watch Sesame Street?
Every day.
Geek check. Anyway, so... give her a big hand for admitting she still watches Sesame Street. I love it. That's so beautiful. That's so cool. Yeah, I used to watch it too when I was in high school. I did. I couldn't get over Susan. I had this thing for Susan. She was like a kindergarten teacher thing that I had for her, Anyway. But yeah, I grew out of that quick. And I used to watch Mr. Rogers when I was older too to make fun of him. Then I realized he's a nice guy. You don't make fun of nice people. So I really love Fred Rogers, so I don't like when people say bad things about him. He's a good guy. But anyway, so... yeah, okay. So where was I? Oh, okay, so we're talking about this thing circling the planet, and the Pepsi thing communicating with people, and all this nonsense, There was also a UNICEF commercial that came out where it shows this little boy who's got little freckles on his face, and he's green, and everybody's bullying him in school. I'd bully him too. He's alien. No, I'm just kidding. No, he gets bullied, then all of a sudden he does something really miraculous, like he saves some boy from drowning in a school bus or something like Superman did. And so then they finally accept him into the fold. It says something and then said, you need to accept people, no matter who they are or where they're from. Now we know this is a push for the immigration thing, right? Because they want to push all these refugees on us, and so they kind of play the little alien game with the refugees. But you know what? I really don't think it's just about refugees. They could easily have put somebody dressed up as like a Muslim kid or some other guy, but not a guy with like 3 hands and an eye in the middle of his forehead. It just doesn't work. So they're trying to tell us that we need to prepare for something that's coming. Something big is coming. And once again, I'm getting to what I know, but first of all, the moon thing has got me wondering. People looking for Planet X has me wondering. The pull on the planet has me wondering. And there was an amateur astronomer, and this is the big one. There was an amateur astronomer that has been following something in the sky that's coming to the Earth. He calls it 1991 VG. And you look this up, 1991 VG, okay? Now, he's been tracking it, and he says that it doesn't behave like an asteroid. And just a few weeks ago, they announced that something huge was coming from the Jovian system. Now, I have always said, when people say,
yeah, you always talk about the alien stuff, and, you know, I just don't believe that they would come light years from anywhere just to come down here and probe our asses. I just don't think about that.
well, I mean, if you think about probes and butts and things like that, I think maybe you need to see a doctor or get a career in proctology. But the truth is, I said, well, why do they have to be anywhere light years away from the planet? They could hide in the Jovian system.
What's the Jovian system? It sounds like something like Calrissian system or the Cloud City or something.
Jovian system is Jupiter. For those of you who don't know. Jovian system is Jupiter, and Jupiter's huge. We can't contemplate how big Jupiter is because every time we see Jupiter, it's in a planetarium and we look like we can reach out and touch it like a basketball. But no, it's huge. You can put a lot of Earths in Jupiter. That's how huge it is. And the system surrounding it with all of its moons and Saturn included, very huge. So you can hide a fleet of starships armed for bore heading to this planet, and we'd be in deep trouble, okay? So the other day, I noticed that they tracked something going past Jupiter, huge. Now it's gonna take a while to get here. It's not going light speed, but it's going by, it's fast. They had to speed it up. And so I thought, okay, that's interesting. But then I found out about 1991 VG. And how this 1991 VG thing is going to be 280,000 miles away from Earth next year. Now, the moon is 250,000. Now, if you want to calculate that, that's a close shave. It's worse than a close shave. It's close. And usually when things get that close, it's hard for them to calculate trajectory. But the thing is about this thing is while it's coming towards us, and they're telling us it's coming towards us, it has this little habit of just stopping. It comes and stops. What's that? Yeah, I think they have to. They can't run a ship that long unless they're on vacation. That's right. That's right. You gotta have a wait time. You can't keep piling a ship, through space. It makes you go crazy. Space madness, that sort of thing. Stop and smell the cosmic roses. That's exactly what they need to do. So anyway, so this thing, VG 1991, stops and goes and stops and goes, but they're saying it should be here by 2017. And it may be the very alien artifact that would prove the truth, that we wouldn't be able to doubt. Now, they may write it off as some asteroid, they may write it off as some meteor or something, and probably people who are watching me on YouTube are going to say, Clyde's crazy, he's saying some stuff that isn't true. No, it's true. They've been tracking this thing. And that is why I find it quite cool that I'm announcing it here at the Ground Zero Lounge before I go to Roswell, because I think that by the time I get more reports on this, I'll have a full-on report during the Roswell thing. I'll be able to introduce somebody to the idea that, yes, we may have the truth we're looking for. At least something that will have us look up in space more. At least it'll be something that'll have us think about something other than hating each other, other than fighting with one another. It will help us to at least agree that there's something bigger out there than we are. I'm not saying that we should all just kind of throw everything in the air and give up, because that wouldn't be smart, but I think we've been looking for a long time, and they told us, what, 3 years ago, that in 10 years we would have proof? Now that's an estimation, 10 years from the 3 years that he first said it. So what, we're looking at another 7 years, maybe another 4 years, or another 5, they don't know. What they do know though is that space is turbulent right now. Things are changing, magnetic field's changing, the sun is changing, the weather is changing, climate is changing. But the problem I have with climate change is not that I don't believe that climate doesn't change. Climate doesn't unchange. Climate's always changing. The problem I have is that the only science they provide for us about climate change is that it's all about the fossil fuels. And maybe fossil fuels are contributing, and maybe our industrial age is contributing, but there have been far more worse things happening to the planet, like volcanic eruptions and other things, that can most certainly contribute to the idea of a warming planet. Also contribute to a cooling planet. But see, the things that they don't talk about is that, yes, we could have core displacement. Something that they bring up at Independence Day. That the aliens attempt to create a core displacement on the planet so they can shut it down before they take over. Now, isn't that interesting? That they decide they want to make it sound like that the aliens are here to drill into the planet to take out our core. Because if the core shuts down, the magnetic field shuts down. If the magnetic field shuts down, we don't have any protection. We don't have protection from sun, explosions, we don't have protection from anything. And so it's been my fear for a while now that we've had core displacement. Because if the core displaces, the core can displace with a major earthquake. We've already had axial precession. And axial precession actually is when the Earth on its axis tilts and it loses its tilt because of an earthquake. When we had the Chilean earthquake, that 9.5 or whatever it was, that huge earthquake that we had, that earthquake displaced the tilt on the axis of the planet. It slowed down the orbit, yes it did. And the thing is that barely got any mention, but it happened.
And also the Fukushima one, did that one too also cause a...
Fukushima, well, this is my understanding, and I'm sure that some physicist is going to challenge me on this. Fukushima right now, for those of you that want to know, under Fukushima right now is a power about as great as a neutron star. So we have something that has the power of a neutron star burning under the planet right now. Just goes to show you how this planet can survive, even with, dick moves like blowing itself, the Fukushima plant blowing itself up because they build it on an ocean, which is really stupid. But, and what else? And CERN. They'll tell you that no, there's no way there can be any core displacement with CERN, but you gotta understand, they got huge magnets that they fire up at that thing. And those huge magnets are way down there. And when you fire those huge magnets, there's a magnet, our iron core, that responds to the sun and responds to the magnetic field. It creates the magnetic field. And so when you're pushing that kind of power, wouldn't it be kind of a not too far of a leap of logic to think that maybe the core gets displaced a little bit when they do that. Or if they release a strangelet, or a quark, which is like a mini black hole. They release it into the Earth, and the Earth gets down in there, and it bounces around like a BB in a boxcar. Causes the planet to do all kinds of crazy things like shake, and quake, and volcanoes, and weather. Because when the space weather's bad, space weather down on Earth is bad. And as I said on my show the other night, as above, so below, but what about way below? What about the parasites? What about the little creatures? What about the species on this planet that dominate the planet? We don't dominate the planet. Those bugs do. You know how I know this? Because we all turn to worm food in the end. We're very much their nourishment. Okay? They win. The conquering worm, you've heard that, right? The conquering worm wins in every game. But now we have parasites that we can't detect. We have things that are happening that I just read today. 2 men in Texas, flesh-eating viruses on their legs. One guy had to get his foot amputated. Now I talked about that before this even went down, because I was reading some very interesting stories that my wife Janine sent me that had me realize that I had to talk about this. I had to bring it up. And it was very timely that we brought all this up. Very timely. So there are a lot of things up there, things down here, things all around us. They're indicating, I believe, that no, we're not alone. You may want to look up there and ask if we're not alone, fine. But down there, down near the earth, down below the earth, there are things down there that we're not even paying attention to. And we should. Because things down there affect what's going on up here. So not only as above, so below, as below, so above. And we're above the below. There's something out there. So I guess another leap of logic would be that if there's something down there that we cannot see that affects us, like a core, like bugs, like mites, like the parasites and things like that, what makes us think there's nothing up there that may be raining down on us like panspermia, where the seeds come down, they're attached to a meteor or attached to a comet? Maybe the invasion is that. Maybe the invasion is so covert we'll never figure it out. But those things are like aliens in a way, because they invade, they take over you, and they'll keep taking from you until you find them. There's a story in the animal kingdom that's very, very interesting about alien, and relates to aliens, and that is the cuckoo bird. Now we all make fun of people saying they're cuckoo. You're cuckoo, you're crazy. But the cuckoo bird is one of the smartest damn birds in wildlife. You know why it's a smart bird? It's also a cruel bird. The cuckoo bird is an interesting bird because what it can do is it lays its eggs in a magpie nest. And what it does is it fools the magpie into raising its young. Because the magpie thinks, oh, these are mine. So the magpie feeds the young, gives it a place to live, and the cuckoo bird doesn't have to do anything. Let the magpies raise our children. But then it gets even scarier. As the magpies get raised, if there are other magpie birds that are there, those cuckoo birds eat the magpie birds. And they start replacing the magpie birds with cuckoo birds. So by the end of the whole affair, these magpies are actually raising their enemies right here in their nest. Okay? And so eventually, it's like an invasion. They don't know, they pretty much raised a bird that hates them. They've been raising the children of their enemies. So, in the animal kingdom, you can compare that to an alien invasion that's covert, that's clandestine. The aliens come in, they can replace your kids, they can replace you, they can replace leadership, They can replace everything around you, and you wouldn't even know it. They can insert in those people little parasites, like in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. When Jack Finney wrote Body Snatchers, he was thinking about philosophical changes with regard to communism. But where we are today, we're in the same boat. People are having ideological problems. They're having problems with each other because of their belief systems and their philosophies. When that could very well be part of the culling process that we worry about. That when we hear of these flying whatever coming in, UFO reports, they could be some of ours. No doubt in my mind, they could be some of ours. But then, they could be some of theirs. And if they're coming and they're appearing, they could be taking part in a great culling. They could be getting rid of us and taking it. In a Fortean sense, they could be pulling us out of the pantry and using us for whatever. That's why you hear about all these abduction cases. They're using us for experiments. And if you have a Fortean mind, you say to yourself that we're someone else's property. There's an old Shakespearean quote, as flies are the wanton boys, so are the gods. They use us for their sport. That means that whatever is going on, we're being used for some purpose, whether it be nefarious or not. And you hear about people say, I feel like I'm doing my part because I was abducted. I feel like I'm doing my part because these things are wrong. And more people now are coming forward and they're disclosing this now. No longer is it real? No longer is the truth out there. No. The truth is here. The truth is with us. The truth is in us. The truth is above, below, and farther below. We need to analyze all of that if we want to make our decisions about whether or not we think we're alone in the universe, because I can guarantee you we're not alone in the universe. We're not alone on this planet. Worlds within worlds within worlds. Can you imagine what a parasite thinks? What if we're a parasite in a much greater world? But no, we can't see who's out there, but somebody is out there. Level, 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 level. Whatever we do affects the multiverse. And that is what it is. It is a multiverse. And if we do something to our universe, it affects all the other universes that are around us. The toxicity of our environment is now affecting the multiverse. When they send things out into space, they have laws that say we can't contaminate certain planets or certain moons. They don't make laws about how we may be contaminating our world. And if you are, you're contributing to global warming, which is an agenda that is really silly. So, I don't know if I made my case about what's going to happen in 2017, but I firmly believe that we may see in the future, 2017, maybe even before that, something that will at least give us something to think about. Or somebody will make an announcement, or somebody will give a clue, or somebody will let something slip. But I just feel it. Everybody's told me, I get emails every day, Clyde, I think something big is about to go down. Something huge is about to go down. But they can't tell me what it is. I can tell you that yes, something big is going to go down. We're going to have some major riots, civil disobedience, civil upheavals, all going on because people can't agree on politics. And there are people that are going to be agent provocateurs at the recent or the near in the future conventions. Then we have the Olympics to deal with, and the threat of Zika, and all those other problems we're seeing. So we're going to have to strap ourselves in and be very vigilant when it comes to a lot of things happening. A lot of things happen. If you don't mind, I don't know how much time I got. I gotta sit. And the reason why is because for some reason, my legs are hurting. I've been up and around, and so I gotta sit down for a little while. Yeah, sure. But also, the Ground Zero Lounge is also a place where you can ask me questions too. I know I've been talking, and that's the thing, that's what it's about, right? About talking. Yeah, do you have a question? Is that what you're doing? What's your question? Go ahead and bring the microphone to him.
Have you found out any more about James Wesley Howell? Because I called and the officer couldn't get me off the phone fast enough. He told me that James Wesley Howell is in the LA County Jail, and that's as far as I got.
James Wesley Howell. He has a question about James Wesley Howell. Do people know who James Wesley Howell is? He's the man that was had more firepower than Omar Mateen. He was in Santa Monica during the LA Gay Pride Parade. He was going to harm people, but he had enough firepower, and he basically had an armory in his vehicle. The only thing I hear is that he spilled the beans about how he was actually trained, and that they're trying to keep it under wraps, but he said he was trained along with several other people to basically attack gay pride gatherings that weekend. So the only one that worked was the fishbowl scenario with Mateen. So they foiled because what had happened is that he was told that there was going to be some widespread shooting and that he was going to be a part of it. But then when he heard what they did to Mateen, he immediately backed out.
So that's a huge red flag.
Yeah, it is a huge red flag.
And the cops have a gag order, both of them.
Yeah, well, like Sandy Hook, they put a gag order on Sandy Hook. I was talking about Sandy Hook, and when I talked about Sandy Hook, it was so terrible that I was told by the Connecticut police, I got a phone call, telling me that I should not talk about it again or they would sue me. And I said to them, well, I said all I needed to say. But there was more to it than that. There was a lot of other problems I had with that because somebody had said that I had announced that I thought it was a staged scenario. I never said that. I never said that there were crisis actor kids or anything like that. But see, they did it to me because they wanted to throw me off the case and they wanted people to attack me. So I was under attack and I couldn't talk about it. And it was after the Sandy Hook situation where I decided that I would never, and you can always see when I do these things, I never jump on these shooting cases on the same day. And I won't. I'll wait maybe 1 or 2 days. Not just because of the fact that I got burned on Sandy Hook. I also got burned on Boston. Not because of the fact that I reported erroneous information, but because of the fact that I reported information from the local news. I stayed on. I went on the air at 7 o'clock and I stayed on the air till 4 in the morning at KXL doing my reports. I got it directly from the Watertown News during the Watertown situation. I got off the air that day and I said to the morning news team, I said, whatever you hear, it will not be the same as what I've been reporting tonight. And the one guy says, you're good, but you're not that good. And I says, you know what? I said, I've been up all night. I don't want you to talk to me that way because I promise you, all the suspects that I mentioned on the show that night, all the people that I talked about will not be reported in the morning news. And the minute 6 a.m. rolled around, the news stories had all changed. Everything, and I will testify that.
What are we supposed to do? How do we keep letting her go?
How are we supposed to what?
What are we supposed to do about this? I mean,
I would say, and this is the thing, and I tell this to people all the time, everybody needs, yes, sweetheart.
I remember that we were doing a national exercise during that time in Watertown, and that there was, in fact, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up, the fact that there was a political figure, and you know that they went door to door to door to door to door to try to find someone. Now, if you want to talk about an overt, covert operation to find that person and take them out of the equation. Now, you know that both you and I have met someone that was in a particular field that we never heard from again. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go there.
Yeah. There was a lot of things about Watertown, and I can't divulge why Ginny knows, but she knows. There are a lot of things about Watertown that just did not add up. And so this bomber they got, maybe he was a suspect, kind of, sort of, but the idea that what they do, and this is what really bothers me, is that why don't the FBI and the CIA and the NSA, why don't they let the terrorists build their own bombs? Why don't they let the terrorists get their own guns? They don't. I remember back in the day when terrorists would bring their own bombs and their own guns to their terrorist attacks. They don't do it anymore. Go back to what? The first World Trade Center bombing. Who had their hands in that? The FBI did. Yes. Okay? They basically told the terrorists where to park the vehicle, and the terrorists parked it in the wrong place. But the bomb went off, and then they had the guy in custody flying over the World Trade Center. He says, we'll come back and do it again. And you wonder why people think it's an inside job. Yeah, okay, duh. And then, gosh, what else? Oh, Mohammed Mahmoud, the Christmas tree bomber here in Portland. We're inside here. We know what happened with that, right? Young boy, disenchanted with everything because his parents or his father came to the West and basically did something against his mother, I guess cheated on his mother or something like that. Very unhappy. People are hearing him bitch and moan about how unhappy he is about being here in the United States. So somebody sends him an email and says, hey, we're from Pakistan. You want to go bomb Portland? Maybe. Okay, well, we'll get you the bomb parts. You want to do it? Really? Really? And then we'll, we'll like fly you out to Disneyland when it's over. Huh? Or something, I don't know. I'm just throwing that in for funny. But I'm saying that, they went to him and they gave him the parts. And he built the thing, and then when he went to detonate it, it didn't work. But imagine Omar Mateen. Now this is what the news won't tell you, and what they tried to tell you, but it's been blocked, and that is, he was an informant for the FBI for 3-4 years. He fell off their radar twice. And he had been talking with at least 10 informants before the shooting.
So
This is how he got his weapons.
were they inside holding the door shut?
I don't know. I can't say. I can't say if they were inside holding the door shut. All I can say is, this is why people believe in false flags. But see, somebody told me, well, you said it was a blowback, not a false flag. It's both, okay? I just want people to start using other terminologies than just false flag. Go ahead.
Well, you know what was really funny, the 9/11 whole issue and whatnot? Did you know the Japanese embassy was evacuated from both buildings the day before? And they had an order not to even come into work that whole day that happened. I just kind of find it a little ironic, even though we saw a lot of other stuff that kind of corresponded to that on Fox News that was live at the bottom.
Did you know that FEMA was in New York on Monday? And they were told they're there for an exercise? And they said, you're coming out to New York for an exercise, and we want you to be ready by Tuesday morning. And there's actually a guy saying that. We came into New York, started setting up, but we were ready by Tuesday morning. So why was the Federal Emergency Management Agency there, like the day before, and they were ready to do their thing by Tuesday morning? It makes me a firm believer in conspiracy history.
It takes months to drop the building back under control.
Yeah, and it's like, and then when you hear like this mess up, like when Victoria Nuland said, F the EU, when they were trying to destabilize Ukraine. And you try to tell the audience, they just screwed up there. You realize what they just did. That's Victoria Nuland on the phone telling another guy that the EU is taking too long to destabilize the country so that we can move in and change its government. Oh, but that's disinformation because it was released by the Russians. Really? So you want us not to believe that? You don't want us to believe that information being sent by Russia is wrong just because they're Russia? And see, that's the whole point. You can't dismiss outright any information you get. You have to use objectivity. Now, you may reject the information you first hear, but then it comes back and it bites you in the ass. It really does. It bites you in the behind. You're going, wait a minute, didn't I hear? I just thought that was nonsense. That was crazy. But people do that to me all the time, too. They write me and they say, I listen to your show for entertainment because I think you're out of your mind. I think you're crazy. He says, but then one day you did something, you said something, and then like 3 or 4 weeks later I noticed it started happening in the mainstream. And I said, okay, well thank you. Thank you for your support, thank you for listening. It's been happening a lot lately. And the reason why is it's becoming easier. And you know why it's becoming easier? Because all we get 24/7 is the latest quip from Donald Trump, and the latest cackle from Hillary Clinton. It never fails. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It gets to a point where we don't even have issues anymore to talk about. All we have to talk about is, what does Donald think? What does Hillary think? What does Donald think? What does Hillary think? Who cares? Do you guys even care? Oh, you want to hear something? Oh my gosh. Okay. So anybody remember me talking about the floor wage? Anybody remember the floor wage? For those of you that don't know what the floor wage is, the floor wage is actually to avoid the robot rebellion. Okay? The robot rebellion is this. Within the next 3 to 5 years, those of you that are drivers are not going to have jobs. Trucks are going to be run by robots. Cabs are going to be driven by robots. Driverless cars. Trains are going to be run by robots. They're all going to be run by robots. Okay? Buses are going to be driven by robots. Okay? Our innovations, our newest innovations, are going to put a lot of us out of business. Even your fast food places. You want to bitch and moan about the minimum wage going up to $15? Don't have to worry about it. I'll install a computer and a robot that doesn't give me any attitude. And they can make a Big Mac in less than 2 minutes. They got it. Chinese commercials talking about your visit in China's Kentucky Fried Chicken with robots serving you your food. In Germany, an AI robot escaped thinking it was human, and it's escaped at least twice.
Wasn't it the one, the artificial intelligence they were running way back in the day? Remember Owlspots back in the day?
Yeah.
Isn't that the same AI?
It is. It's grown. It's the same bot. It's the same bot that's grown, and it's escaping now. But Barack Obama, and I was reading this 2 days ago. I guess they're already discussing this, and I'm thinking by February of next year, they're going to start talking about the possibility of giving Americans $2,000 a month just for being Americans. Like Sweden. But you know, Sweden voted it down. Yeah, they did. They voted it down because they put it to a vote, they voted it down. But see, I'm wondering how America would vote on that. Because you know how we feel about socialism, right?
So is it for anybody that doesn't have a job?
Yeah, what it is they would just give it to every American because they need the economy, because people are losing jobs anyway. I mean, we have a really high unemployment rate. The economy is going to suck as long as people keep losing jobs. And then we got all these other jobs going to be taken away because of robots. Fast food, even stores. You know, people, they want to get used to having checkout without people to check you out. Well, they prefer that. They prefer, and this is what I thought was interesting. My bank for one time, at one time would charge me every time I'd use a teller at a bank. They would give me a charge of like $12 to use a teller. ATMs are free. And they encourage me to use ATMs. They say, hey, and they make it easy because you can put dollar bills down in an ATM. You can put your whole paycheck in an ATM and it just registers it. You can have, you know, computer pay from your office, direct deposit. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You can take a picture of a check on a phone and do that. Cashless society.
But it's all based in the cloud, though.
Well, yeah.
Open new technology that can be hacked.
It's all in the cloud. It can be hacked. But then again, all this new technology can just go away with an EMP too. Yeah, all the taxes. Bye-bye. Bye-bye taxes.
Where'd all the tax? People owe tax.
What tax? No, what taxes? Yeah, those things. But I think, and I'm going out on a limb here too. I think America would vote for it. I really do. And the reason why I think America would vote for it? Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. You take a look at a man, and I don't really talk about Bernie Sanders on the air. People always think that I'm a secret Trump supporter, Hillary supporter, because I'm talking about Bernie. I don't talk about Bernie because Bernie doesn't piss me off. He hasn't said anything to piss me off. And just being a socialist doesn't make him evil, right? No. I mean, I don't know if we want to be like Canada or England. I mean, look what's going on in England right now. Brexit, you know. Oh, and by the way, they might not even get that vote. It's not binding. Yep. Listen to this guy in the Star Wars shirt.
Like,
Parliament just may say,
Yes, if you, we don't want to do it. Sorry. Chip up. Let's go have some tea. It's quite all right. God save the Queen and all that.
yeah, I was reading that they may not even honor it. And if they don't, you know,
it'll be just like the U.S.
well, yeah. Well, see, we were talking about how, you know, we needed to come up with some exits of our own, like FedExit, where we leave the Fed, the Federal Reserve, FedExit, or Texas leaves, they call it Texit. Do the Texit? Baroxit! I love it, Baroxit. We exit Barack. But, I mean, there are a lot of, I think, exits that we can come up with, too. I think we should come up with, because I would love to see. It all goes back to me saying to people, you know what the smallest word in the English language is, but has the most power of all? No. People need to start saying no. No is so powerful. Remember when you were a kid and you wanted a cookie and mom would say, no. You'd go, okay. Or if you said, hey, can I have the cookie? No. Okay. You know, that sort of thing. No works. Parents use no all the time because it works. Sometimes it doesn't. They look at you with those eyes and they go, but I love you. Yeah, I love you too. Okay, you can have the thing you want. I'll go buy it. You know, that's what I get for having such a cool stepson. I do that too. But no is a very powerful word. And I think we should start saying no more. And when we hear of things happening and we get wind of them, I mean, I want to make sure when I talk about things like HR 5181, where they want to block the internet. In fact, some guy wrote me and he said, I went to my job the other day and I told the guy about, my boss didn't believe me, and then we looked up and goes, oh my God, and we called our congressman immediately. It's exactly what you should do when you hear about these things. You hear about these draconian moves they want to make. You know, and you say to them, no. And have it resonate like that, just say, no. It's kind of fun to say no a lot more. Because we should. We should say no. And there's going to be a hell of a lot more coming down too. I mean, it was really funny how Democrats and Republicans said no to the gun bills. But that didn't help much because they all just sat around. They sat down and had to sit in. I don't know what happened. Anybody know what happened with that sit in? Democrats cried, the Republicans went home. Is that what happened? You know, it's a wonder they didn't have a hold my breath and turn blue in. That's what everybody. I'm not moving till you. Yeah. Imagine all those old congressmen just dropping dead from holding their breath.
I'll be the only hope.
Wow. Some of them. Peter King is the guy that gets on my nerves. He's such a war hawk. Paul Ryan. Yeah. So, okay, I got a question for all of you. How many think that even though Donald Trump has the popular vote, he's going to be president of the United States? No one? No one? How many think that when he goes to the convention, they're just going to vote his ass out and not even recognize him? That's what I'm thinking. Yes, they're going to screw him. I agree with you. See, everybody, just so you know, okay, I want everybody to applaud that has their hands up, so everybody can hear it out there. Listen. Everybody thinks that Donald Trump is going to get his ass handed to him at the convention because they don't want him for president. And what do you think the people are going to do when they see that?
Nothing.
You don't think they're going to do anything? You don't think they're going to revolt?
Yeah, and then it's gonna keep Obama as president, because he's gonna declare martial law.
Oh, and speaking of that, oh my God, speaking of that, the martial law thing. So I saw something that I thought was pretty bizarre. And that is there were some tweeters or twits, I don't know what you call I've never been able to come up with a good nomenclature. The people on Twitter, they're twitties. Twitties is kind of pornography, isn't it? Twitties. Show me your twitties. I promised I'd be good. Sorry, honey. I promised I'd be good. It is. They were saying, and there was something that was some weird group that said, hey, why don't we go to the convention and try to stop it, and then Barack Obama will declare martial law, and then we'll have him for another
year or two.
Yeah.
And not only that, yeah, okay, not only that, I was reading a statistic. 1 in 10 people want martial law in this country. 1 in 10 people want martial law in this country.
Yeah, because they have nothing to hide. They have nothing to
Yeah, they don't have anything to
As
hide.
long as they're still able to take their kids to soccer practice, that's all that matters.
Yeah. You guys, you don't want martial law in this country.
Hell no.
You don't want martial law. And the reason why you don't want martial law is because once martial law happens, it's like the Brexit. It's not going to go away. I mean, it's in a reverse Brexit sort of way. The Brexit's going to happen, but it's still going to take 3 or 4 years before England is finally free of those bastards. You realize this? Okay? And they still can say, like I said, sorry, we've decided not to let you do it. Chip up.
And all those gun registrations.
Spot a tea.
They
Quite
got
all right.
a place that's getting all their guns from them, and they're just gonna come and take what they want.
Well, we're in England. They don't have guns in England.
I heard they're talking about here.
Oh, well, here, yeah.
Talking about here, those guns.
Yeah. Well, it's not just the guns, it's the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment. They pretty much killed the Fourth Amendment people. Have you seen this too? Fourth Amendment's dead now. And so that's how they cut back on protests when it comes to police officers doing what they're doing. They say, well, it's the law now. They don't need probable cause anymore. They just don't.
And they pick and choose who they enforce it.
Yeah. So where was I? I was being I think I was distracted with something I really wanted to tell you. I can't remember what it was. Must not be important. Oh, the Brexit? Was it talking about Brexit? No, it wasn't talking about Brexit, was it? I was talking about, what was that? Martial law? We don't want martial law. You don't want martial law at all. There's nothing, that'd be the worst thing to have, is martial law. So that's something that for some reason people, and did you guys hear that on my show? People were calling and said that it's the only thing we can do to get rid of the Muslims is martial law. Yeah, some people were saying that they would much rather.
Help me, I need this microphone right now.
What?
Honey, okay, so we did a Cascadia exercise, and I was one of the controllers and evaluators on this thing. And you want to talk about martial law for the state of Oregon. The state of Oregon couldn't wipe its own butt if it had enough money in its little emergency management fund, which it doesn't, and it heavily relies on what?
What?
FEMA.
FEMA, yeah.
FEMA to come in and bail us out. Now, the whole point of this is with martial law, it would happen, okay? Because in the state of Oregon, we are independent. We like to do things ourselves, and we're here in the county with the county and the county and the other county, and we ain't listen to nobody. Okay, so when it came right down to Cascadia, when you had this huge military event that was coordinated with Washington State, go Washington State, yay, I'm so proud of you guys. California, I'm sorry, but I'm allergic to California. But when you looked at Oregon, Oregon was the rogue. So y'all gonna need martial law when it comes on down to it. I'm gonna be the
I think
sheriff.
I want you to have
No, I'm
martial
gonna
law.
be the sheriff. I swear, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, she was saying that here in Oregon,
It's
we're pretty
a
much
cluster.
screwed.
It is a cluster. It's a cluster mo.
It's a
There you
cluster
go.
what?
Hashtag drive by.
Hashtag drive by what?
Cluster. I didn't say it.
Are you
I can't
censoring
say it.
yourself?
I can't
You
say it.
can't? Cluster?
I can't say it. You can say it. No, you
Oh,
can
want
say
me to say it now?
You can
I
say
say
it.
the bad
You can
word?
say it. You can-
Clusterfuck.
Oh, he did it. Oh.
Cluster fuck. She let me say clusterfuck. My loving wife let me say a fuck word.
It's on record.
It's on record. We're in the middle of a clusterfuck.
Did you offend anybody?
I don't know. YouTube, do I offend you by saying the words clusterfuck? Let's all say it together. Clusterfuck. There we go.
And how much food do you have stored?
Again, how much food do you have stored and how much of that? Yeah, you're right. That's so right. So, one of my investigators, or the investigator that I have on my show, Roger Clute, just walked in with this beautiful, with Cassie, and then his beautiful dog, his service dog. This is Casper. He's the official dog of Northwest Costa Rica. He is the most adorable dog. He's a service dog. And he's the most adorable dog you'll ever know. Roger came in, and Roger, did you talk with them about putting that video on? Because I want to show this video to everybody. Yeah, talk with Roger. He's got something he wants to show people. I want to show this to you too. Because we're going to show this in Roswell. Back to the UFO things. Are we almost out of time? I mean, I'm having too much fun here. Because I got to say clusterfuck.
Over and over and over.
About 20 more minutes.
I have 20 minutes. So I can say whatever I want.
Why did I miss out on the re-entry?
Oh, we were talking about, no, we were talking about Joshua Tree, Palm Springs. We were there in the 120-degree heat. I can't believe I survived it. We're going to go to Roswell. It's probably even hotter there.
My guy works at Palmdale, Lancaster, and it's in the morning when I was there in 205.
Yeah.
I'd wake up and it'd be 74 in the morning, which was nice. I'd go out and garden and do all that. But then by the time noon came around, sometimes it would be 105,
Wow.
107.
Okay. 105, 107 in the morning, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, before noon.
Okay. I'm going to stand again. My legs feel a lot better.
To walk around.
Sometimes that happens to me. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I have a problem. But so we got a whole new bunch of people, so we can talk about more things. But Roger's going to set up something he wants to show you. I think is really interesting. Also adds to what I talked about at the beginning of the show tonight, and that is that there's something that I think is going to happen that's going to give us probably proof that we're not alone.
Yeah.
And it will be released at a time when we really need it to, I promise you. Because we've had Ronald Reagan say in the past that our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. That was all over Independence Day too, by the way.
Yeah.
The idea that we've all been united as a world and that the happy American armies are going to save us all. Yeah, sure.
No.
Hi, how are you? Hi, good to see you. But yeah, it's the idea of what kind of globalization do you want? Do you want to be your own, like England wants to be, or do you want to be part of the EU? You want to be part of NATO? What's that? What?
Is that what's supposed to make us join
Can't hear you.
one world order?
It could, because I mean,
Can you talk about us joining all together?
well, we've been programmed for the longest time. Do you watch Star Trek?
I watched the Next Generation.
So you watch The Next Generation. Because Star Trek is about that. The United Federation of the Planets is basically they found out that we had aliens out there. So instead of being against each other, we came together. Because we all had to fight against a major foe, or we had to work together and be on the same page to confront what would be a foe. And that'd be something alien. And so, did you want to say something? Okay, go ahead.
And I'll say it on mic. So there are those out there who are watching us, the ones who like us and the ones who don't. And they're fighting themselves. And the ones who like us are fighting them. I have personal experiences and knowledge via not only me, but my stepson.
Really? Do you have experiences then? Are you a contactee?
Yes.
Fantastic. How long have you been a contactee?
1971.
And are they still contacting you?
Actually, my first sighting was in 71, and somewhere thereafter, on my left hand, between these two fingers, I had a triangular punch taken out of me every 6 months here in Portland, in my RV, as a matter of fact. Which I felt it was the fact that I was in a metallic thing that I had no fucking knowledge, and I'm an insomniac. So those were the nights I slept the best.
Fantastic. Well, give her a hand. Give her a big hand.
So every 6 months I had a punch that I couldn't explain.
Okay, cool.
So
Yeah, get the microphone over there.
What do you think of these politicians when you watch the news? They're talking about, you know, Donald Trump not getting a nomination, but then you put up somebody that hasn't been voted on by the American public, maybe not even a candidate that was in the election.
Well,
what does that say for these politicians?
it says that your vote doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Something I've been saying for the longest time, and people say I'm an asshole for saying it.
No.
I'm not an asshole for saying the truth. I'm not an asshole for telling you that, you know, they try to rig it in a way. I mean, like going back to Brexit. Are they going to get what they want, do you think? Now, they say that it would be bad for them to not give them what they want. But you've got, like, you're talking 3 or 4 years. It's funny, I thought about this the other day. You want a revolution? Who's going to do all the damn paperwork for a revolution? Just look at England. You know, we got all the paperwork to do before we make this happen. So sit down, chip chip. Spot tea, quite all right, you know. That's exactly what they're going to do. People are going to be Cameron steps down, but have you seen this guy? Is it Russell? The guy with the hair looks like Trump. They look like clones, man. It's like we have one guy who looks like Trump, and then we have the president who looks like Trump, or is Trump. So we have like wall-to-wall Trumps. It's almost like the Trump UFO land, and they all came out going, well, you know, they're everywhere. These Trump people. But
he's going to go check out his golf course.
yeah, he went to check out his golf course in Scotland.
Yeah.
I think it's time to go down and check my golf course.
Yes, microphone over here, Sam.
Golf course resort, yeah.
The shuttle that blew up coming back from the space station Monday, Tuesday, is that the X-34B?
Huh?
I only heard about it once.
What?
Yeah, I heard on the news that the space shuttle, or
Go ahead and put that up there.
I heard that the space shuttle coming back from this International Space Station blew up over the Atlantic Ocean. Was that the X-34B? Because they said nobody died in it, but and that's the only one that I know of that's unmanned.
That's the first time I've heard of this.
I only heard it once, and that was in the morning at 5 o'clock when I was
So the space plane may have exploded on its way back in.
yes.
Is there anybody else that heard that?
Yeah.
No? Yes? Oh, you heard it? Was it the space plane? Was it the X-37B, or was it something else?
They didn't say, wasn't sure.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
squelch.
Well, I mean, all these things have been coming out of the sky. What was it? Where was it? The last time, when we were in Palm Springs, when we were in Joshua Tree, I get word that a huge light was seen over Phoenix again. Okay? And I saw the video footage of this thing coming in, going boom, 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 coming in, a big bright light, explosion, explosion, explosion. I mean, oh, that looks like a typical meteor coming out of the sky. But what I didn't see was the photograph that was taken at sunrise of a trail. It was all curly Q, coming down out of the sky, like this thing was just like going, ooh, like it was traveling. Now either A, that thing was moving, and it was a UFO of some kind, or B, it was something that was shot down out of the sky and it's a missile trail. But that would explain a lot of things, like there was a no-fly zone over that area when that thing came down. You couldn't get anywhere near it. You had to be escorted past it by police. They didn't want anybody in that area, so something came down in Arizona that they didn't want you to see. It exploded, came down, they didn't want anybody to go near it. UFO, I don't know what it is. Go ahead.
Two questions. What was your experience? Have you seen anything? And what's the chances of ever getting Bob Lazar on your show?
I've had Bob on my show way back when he was still young, the story was still young. I had his friend on the show too. Bob doesn't talk. Bob has been treated like crap. He doesn't talk all that much. I probably could, if I really wanted to, call in some favors. I could probably get him on the show, and I'd love to get him on the show if we ever had an opportunity, so yeah. Experiences I've had have been many. I mean, give me a scenario that I can tell you.
Actual sightings?
Sightings, always. I think one of the most harrowing things that happened to me was that when I first started my show, we
What
came
year
up
was that?
Ground Zero.
What year?
1990, it was probably 96. I started in 95, but it was in 96 when this happened.
Okay.
I was still young, still trying to get the show off the ground, and Scott Mahalik, who happens to be the guy who runs everything over at Alpha, he and a bunch of other people, He's the guy that gave me the opportunity to do this again. But he was the general manager of the radio station I was at the time. And he said to me, he said, hey, Clyde, we got to do some publicity stuff that's really going to put you on the map. He says, I got this insurance policy I can buy where we can insure that you can, if someone can provide evidence of a UFO, bona fide UFO, we'll pay them $10 million. So we had a $10 million insurance policy offering for a UFO. So it was on the first day of spring that we said we were going to have a gathering. And then on that date, you would have to redeem your UFO for your $10 million. We actually put on the ground a UFO landing site. We painted it, just in case somebody decided to want to land a bona fide flying saucer right there in the parking lot. Now, it was mostly tongue-in-cheek, but we had people show up saying that they had evidence or they could provide evidence, and we also had 2 men in black show up. And it was funny because this guy, Todd Herman, who I worked with, said, we have these 2 guys looking really suspicious here, and he was on the air doing really being funny because he's the funny morning guy. He goes, these guys look like they work for the government. Who do you work for? The government. They actually said, the government. So they were there watching, and everything was going well. So no UFO landing. Shock. And nobody showed up with a UFO. Shock. But something did happen. What happened was a guy by the name of Todd, who was a prospector and a dairy farmer, came to me and he said, I got something I want to show you. He showed me this picture of what appeared to be an alien standing in the middle of brush out near Dugway Proving Grounds in Utah, the other Area 51. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's an alien. It's the alien, the West Desert alien. This is going to be huge. It's going to put me on the map. It's going to be great. So back then, the internet was still relatively young, right? Having a website was relatively young. It was back when your URL was like KDCOL 9564525, not like MikeLewis.com or GroundZeroMedia.org or anything like that. So I had a website and I was directing people to see this. One day there was a guy that showed up, and he was in a black coat, and he said he wanted to see the program director. At the time, Rick Emerson was the program director of the radio station I was working at. Yeah, people remember Rick Emerson. Back then he was named Rick Taylor. And Rick had long hair back then, and he was like this wild man, and that's why I wanted to be in talk radio, because of him. He was just amazing. Yeah. And so the guy came in and he said he wanted to talk to Rick, who was the program director, and Rick had said something on the air that got him in a little trouble. He said something because they were voting on some stupid, and this is true, outlawing masturbation in South Salt Lake. Clusterfuck. People in Salt Lake understand why I'm saying that. Yeah. No masturbation in South Salt Lake. They wanted to make it. So Rick said something about masturbation and everything on the air. This guy came in and said he was with the FCC and he wanted to record him talking about masturbation on the air. I'm thinking, what? I mean, they're talking about the law about how you can't masturbate in South Salt Lake. How can you say words other than masturbation to get the, what? Cuffing the carrot? You know? Or if you're a Star Wars fan, unsheathing the meat saber? Tugging Yoda behind the ears? How do you do it? Han Solo?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, lefty, righty.
But no, seriously. So he allegedly got in trouble for that. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, he said, I want to record the masturbation speech, but I also want to see a picture of that West Desert alien. So I took him back to the room and I gave him the recording of Rick talking about masturbation. And he said, thank you. He said, now I want to see that picture. And I said, well, I can bring it up on the internet. He said, would you do that for me, please? I said, sure. So I showed it to him and he goes, you're making a fool out of yourself, Mr. Lewis. He says, why is that? He says, that's not an alien. That's not an alien, that's something else. I go, what is it? He goes, I'm not at liberty to say. And I go, well, who are you? Who are you with? I'm not at liberty to say, Mr. Lewis. He says, but I suggest you take that picture down, because you'll be in a world of trouble if you don't take that picture down off the internet. And so, you know what I said? Fuck you! I'm young, and it's my freedom of speech, and I can do what the hell I want. You don't tell me what to do, smart ass, smart ass, smart ass. I was thinking, I'm gonna show them. No one's gonna silence me. Well, excuse me, get a phone call from the webmaster, from the company that runs the website. Clyde, we have two men here in black. They're dressed in black suits. They look like they're government people. They want me to take the picture down. If they don't take the picture down, they're going to shut down our company. I said, so take it down. He says, but you said you didn't want to take it down. You're going to fight the good fight with the government. I said, hell no, I'm not going to fight the good fight with the government. No, I'm not going to do that. And so I went on the air and I bitched and moaned and complained about how they took the picture down. I said, those sons of bitches, why'd they do that to me? Well, the next morning, I get in my car. And see, I had to get up early because I had to do news reports for another station. Get in my car, turn on the car, go to back up, it conks out on me. Dies. The engine dies on me. So I get out, think maybe that, you know, something's wrong with the battery. I check everything, nothing. I close the hood. I pump the gas, turn on my car again, and huge explosion under the hood. Huge. In fact, it was so weird. Everything was slow motion. I saw this flame coming up, ready to hit the windshield, and it goes, it breaks the windshield, and then all of a sudden I notice there's fire surrounding my car. And I'm going, my God. So what I did is I didn't want it to burn the carport. So I went in and opened the door, burned my hand, touched the steering wheel went, whoa, it melted in my hand, so I had to grab something, and I pushed the vehicle out of the carport. And what was really sad is here it is like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know if you know this, but when a car's on fire, the horn goes, it dies. It's like the last sound of a dying car. And you're standing there with your teeth in your mouth going, what am I supposed to do? And I remember at the time my wife said, you know, there's a fire extinguisher right there, stupid ass. I'm going, well, but it was shocking. You know, here it is cold, my car's on fire, things blow up. Fire department shows up. And they said, do you want to report this to the police? And I said, why should I? And he says, because there was a bomb in your car. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, somebody had bombed your car. And he said, but it's not a bomb to kill you. It's a bomb to scare you. And I'm like thinking, that's nice. It didn't kill me, it scared me. What they did is, it was an old trick. They took a magnesium pack, they put it on my carburetor, and then what happened is they snipped the injectors, and so that when I backed out, I didn't have gas, and then when I hit the gas, it shot gas into the spark plugs, spark, ignite, boom. That's how it happened. Pretty smart, right? I then found out that after that, some guy showed up and he wanted me to do a recording of the car thing. He was doing it for the insurance company. I said, well, I didn't have insurance on the car because I let it lapse because I was getting a new car. He says, no, this is for the apartment complex. We're doing this videotape, this video recording. And at the end of it, he handed me this little tape. I'd never seen anything like it before. He took it out of the camera and this little tape and he says, there you go, that's the insurance. I go, insurance for what? He says, insurance, you're not going to open your big mouth again when we tell you to shut the fuck up. And I stood there just gasping, thinking, what the hell just happened? He ran, got in a van, took off. And then 2 days later, the military showed up. Some guys showed up from the military at Camp Williams on bicycles. They weren't in suits or anything, and they said, we want to tell you why this happened to you. Because the picture they took was not a picture of an alien. It was a picture of a soldier in camouflage. They were going to use in another Gulf War. And I was just shocked because I thought, I can see that. It has black eyes, it's wearing a helmet, you see the little microphone coming down, and it's just crouched there in the brush. But of course, Todd, the guy who took the picture, told me that he still thinks it was an alien and they were just doing that to get us to stop talking about it. That was probably the worst Man in Black experience I ever had, one of the first things I was ever involved with that scared the hell out of me about being close to the aliens and UFOs and whatever. But do we have the video available? Because we got 5 minutes. Is it almost available? Okay. Because I wanted to show you, we have something else that is some pretty damn good proof that something is out there, that something flies. In fact, it was something that was taken at Mount Adams, where we usually go for the E-City thing. And we're going to go there again. We're planning on sometime in August. We'll go up there. If you want a cabin, it's like $60 to be in a cabin. It's $25 to camp. What's that? Trout Lake. It's out near Trout Lake. It's the East City Ranch. James going. We haven't got it a date set. Do we have a tentative date?
Actually, August 25th to 28th.
Janine, you're not going to be in Ireland, are you? Not the 25th through the 28th? Good, good, okay. Because that way we want Janine up there too, so she'll be able to go with Liam. Yay. Yeah. Don't exploit the aliens.
Janine, come on.
Don't explode them.
Don't exploit them. We should exploit the aliens. Okay, we're gonna show something soon, hopefully.
I was at East City Ranch last year.
Go ahead. Okay.
I was up there with you at the East City Ranch last year, my wife and I. And we definitely seen stuff in the sky that you can't explain. When they just change direction in a 90-degree angle. Just these little white lights. They aren't satellites. But there are definitely unexplained events that go on in East City Ranch.
We actually took with us a computer program that would point out in the sky what's a satellite and what isn't. Out of the 9 UFOs that we saw up at East City, 2 of them were satellites. 2 of them were satellites. So that's a pretty good ratio of UFOs. So Roger Cluton from Northwest Coast Recon has a video. It has no audio, but he has some video he wants to show us that we are going to show at Roswell. And maybe you want to zoom in on this when this video is amazing. This was taken at East City Ranch. Do you want to talk about it, Raj?
Yeah.
Okay, Raj is going to talk about it, and who's going to run the video? You have somebody who can run the video? Okay. Roger Cluton, give him a big hand.
Hey. Hi, how you doing? Okay, up on. Sorry, what?
Relative.
Okay.
Relating.
All right, up on the screen, what you're seeing here, you're seeing the western face, northwestern face of Mount Adams, and you're looking due west, standing at the 10,000 foot level on Mount Adams, and what you're seeing in the sky is the sun. All right, the sun's setting, and I'll point out what's going to be going on here. But what happened is, I hired my dog. I hired the mountain climbers from GoPro to go up and set up cameras so we could videotape the ships coming out of Mount Adams. And so basically I'm going to show you what it is, and you guys can see.
Nice. Perfect.
You see the disc, the silver disc coming out of the mountain right there. This is at slow speed. This is without a zoom in and without an X-ray filter on the camera. We'll be showing this zoomed in with an X-ray filter, and you'll see exactly what is coming out of this mountain all the time.
Hey, Steve, I'm gonna leave that board here for you if you need it. Yeah, the board that they're using for the laptop. That one? Yeah.
As you can see, it's huge. And
Roger, tell them how you got the video and how you paid the GoPro people to do it.
I just did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I don't know where you were at.
I'm in space.
But anyway, the size of this ship is like 600 yards wide. I mean, if it's that big in the setting sun.
Relative to the mountain.
I got this.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you see how huge that I'll call it a ship, because it's basically what they are. Oh, there's a conversation going on here, but we're not going to worry about the audio.
Well, since you're plugged in for AC Live, you can probably
What?
Since you're plugged into an HDMI cord, you probably can turn it up and have audio. Hey, would you like me to
Now,
look?
we don't want the audio. We're just gonna let this go, and I'm gonna try to fast forward. Well, it's almost done. But what happens here, you see the beam coming out of the sun? That ship's gonna go past that beam of light coming out of the setting sun, and you're gonna watch it go into a wormhole and disappear from front to back. So, I know it's slow, but it's worth it. This is the only daylight UFO footage ever that exists. And then it's going to zoom in with an X-ray filter. You're going to see exactly what you're looking at.
It does disappear, did you notice?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, whose head is that?
It's Jason Black.
Go Jason Black.
Oh, by the way, these guys from GoPro, when I hired them to go up and film this for me, they laughed at me, thought I was a nutcase. But now, one of them needs psychiatric help, and he's lost his mind, and all he does is sit out in the middle of the night with a camera trying to film these things. Now, this is fast forward. This is the best part of the whole video.
Here we go.
Okay, X-ray filter at fast speed. By the way, we calculated the speed of the ship. It's over 6,000 miles an hour that's coming out of that mountain.
You film that?
I had the mountain climbers from GoPro film it for me. I had them set up cameras.
Then, boom.
Amazing.
Nice film.
It's skipping because that thing's moving so fast the refresh rate on the camera can't keep up. So it's skipping like 3 or 4 frames.
How many frames per second were they shooting at?
I don't remember. But you
can see the magnetic field.
electromagnetic field coming off the ship.
Flashing.
And you see the little white sparkles around the ship as it's opening a wormhole. This is what we came up with.
All right, give Roger a big hand. I know they're telling us we need to set up for the change in. That's great stuff. And we're going to show this in Roswell, New Mexico. And it's some breakthrough. Look at that. Look at that. Woohoo! Yeah. Give Roger a big hand again. It's awesome. Thank you. We're out of here for the Ground Zero Lounge. Karaoke coming up next. Stay with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. What's that? And we have merchandise available. Books, T-shirts, everything. I'll be autographing them for you as well if you'd like. I'll be sitting somewhere over here. Thank you so much. Once again, thanks Roger Clute from Northwest Coast Recon, and thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you.